We're back after finishing first in the Super League. We will show you how things have been going on since then, including the Super League, the Conference League, and more importantly, the Liechtenstein Cup. We'll also show you with regards to the transfers and squad updates and anything that's been going off the field with regards to Vaduz. Let's get into it, shall we? Roll that title. In regards to transfers, it's been another busy window, and as you can see from the right hand side, we have had some serious departures in terms of transfers out. I wanted to go through the incomings first, and then show you some of the big players that have left. I've hided a couple on the right hand side for now, but the basis of why I've done this is because there was a lot of players, which you can probably see on the right hand side, that were in the under 19s or the under 21s, and they just weren't really cutting it out and not looking like they were either going to get Liechtenstein nationality or break into the first team. And I thought because the under 21s specifically, as well as the under 19s, was getting a really big squad, it was time to let go of some certain players, but we have put ourselves in a good place going forward for the rest of the season. And I wouldn't be surprised if that transfers in gets increased as well. Let's get into the incomings then. So, first of all, we signed Roy Monson from Molde in Norway. Young player, currently 19 years old, 5'8", but generally an all-round, looks a decent midfielder, and one that I hope that can develop. Also is not capped by Norway as of yet, and it was pretty cheap to bring him in. David Luiz, not the David Luiz who played for Chelsea and Arsenal respectively, but a Brazilian from Sao Paulo, paid his release clause of 14.5 million, been an absolute bargain in my opinion. Got him on a somewhat long-term deal and has already came up the goods, as you can see in the season so far. Developing him more as a box-to-box midfielder. The only thing that worries me a little bit is the natural fitness, but so far so good as well. He doesn't have any caps for Brazil, which is another bonus. And then as well, to sort of ease our midfield concerns, we signed Luis Fernandez Blanco. This was to replace a couple of midfielders that we let go. Another Spanish youngster who's come in, done a really good job. I feel Spain, particularly the lower leagues this year, especially for Vaduz, I'm not sure about other saves, but lower league Spain, underneath sort of La Liga 2, has done really well for me. And yeah, we've done particularly well there. With regards to a couple of other signings, it's mainly been backups or hot prospects for the future. So we had an injury to one of our goalkeepers, so we brought in Boris Sawicki from Freiburg. He's under 21 and is not a Swiss national, so it was pretty plain forward to bring him in. And the fact that we also sold one of our youngsters goalkeeper-wise to Wolfsburg, we needed that backup goalkeeper in case one of the goalkeepers got injured. Then we brought in Luis Ribalto, who is a Swedish-Brazilian under 19 player. Looks like a one for the future. That's the reason why I've signed him. Only 1.6 million as well. And then the remaining players, so Akin, Liechtensteiner, and also Dumont is a backup. He used to play for PSG. He's to cover the departures that we had for the goalkeeping situation. Then in terms of January, we brought back Julian Foreman for the rest of the season on a loan deal. There is an option to sign him on a permanent deal for 45 million. Personally, cannot see that happening, but we will explore potentially another loan deal for Foreman in the future, just with the departures for the strikers. And then we signed Maurizio Russo, a Uruguayan 18-year-old who played for Wanderers. We loaned him straight back out to just get some experience because I didn't see him featuring for the first team anytime soon. And then a little bit of a punt on Benevenu Oyalambo. I hope I haven't butchered that. Belgium, Democratic Republic of Congo player. Only signed for 45k, so not too bad, and is not any particular country's nationality at the moment. Let's look at the departures. What I've tried to do is organise it in terms of how the transfers have taken place. So at the start of the season, we lost a couple of players on a free. The most notable one was Jurdy, our young now Liechtenstein and Netherlands international. We had him for a long time. We let him go on a free. It's pretty straightforward with regards to that. A couple of other Liechtenstein players, Ekel, Miguel, and Visserman wasn't a Liechtenstein player, but we had him on our books for a little bit left. Then, as I may have mentioned in the last episode, Fadil did decide to leave and go to Celta, but we were still in the red with regards to FFP. A couple of more loan deals. So probably the most notable one out of all of them is Luca Fischer. He went to Sandhausen in Germany, and then Alejandro got an offer from a Saudi club called Al Reed. It was 6 million in the end, and I don't think he was close enough to get. He was 53 days away from getting Liechtenstein nationality. I don't know if that is going to be possible, if he's going to ever get it. Obviously, he's got to wait 5 years now. And the fact of the matter is, he was 28. He was getting to a sort of 3-star, 4-star potential. So I cashed in on him, basically. I didn't really want to, but things didn't really help with regards to that. A couple of more loan deals. William Ayala also left the club as well. Our young Mexican goalkeeper. We also sold Lang as well, and then we got rid of the Ethiopian striker that we had for a few seasons, Teshome. He went to Lech Poznan for about 1.2 million, which I thought was a really good deal. Coppola as well went to Thun for 300k. We also sold Silva, who we bought from Porto, if I'm not mistaken, for 2.5 million. So we made a profit on him going to Antwerp. We also sold our Moldovan midfielder, Garvatilia, I think that is, or Vadim. Let's go with that. I just felt like the time had come. We'd loaned him out a couple of times and the potential just wasn't there. Then Benedict Korb went out on loan to Dundee United. Really good loan deal in my opinion. So we will see how he gets on there. Then unfortunately Marcus Paulo decided that he wanted to leave, or Marcus Paulo. The fact that he was Liechtenstein national and he was going to get games abroad, I decided to cash in on him. Interestingly enough, though, he's wanted by a number of clubs in America, and Sheffield Wednesday have already put him on the transfer list, which I find quite interesting. But we sold him for a profit of 4.8 million. We only brought him in for 400k, so we know how to make a profit in this save. A couple of more loan deals. We loaned out Estevez to Recreavio. We also sold, or loaned, Sanogo to a club in Belgium. A And then we sold one of our German wing backs who just didn't really develop, Osterheimer. He went to Freiburg. A couple of more loan deals as well. And then Ivo Fraga, as I mentioned, with Boris Zoe coming in, he decided he wanted to leave. He was going to be potentially our next goalkeeper after Menkaroni, in case he left, but he decided he wanted to go to Wolfsburg, which was disappointing. I also loaned Luca Miller out. He really needed another loan deal. He's been out at a number of clubs now. Been okay, but not really decent at Canberra, and I'm going to continue loaning him out because I think this guy will eventually end up leaving Vaduz. Not really developed as much as I liked, for my taste. And then a couple of more sort of sales that involved players that were just not really going to develop, and I just decided to move on. So Santapolo, we sold him to Bristol City. We've also loaned out Franschetti, who I said in a previous video this guy was going to be a Liechtenstein sort of player in terms of that. I just decided to go, okay, we'll loan you out and try and get you some game time, which we have. He's gone to St. Patty's Athletic. We sold Dong Juan to Bruges. We sold one of the American players, Kevin Corneliuson, to Middlesbrough. I thought we made a good profit on him, especially when we brought him in for nothing. That's what I'm trying to do with these players, is to make a profit out of them. A couple of more loan deals. Zarouini decided that he wanted to leave, so we sold him to Southampton. Yet again, another player that we made a profit on, which is good. And we sold Kawe, our Portuguese right winger, left winger, to Luzerne. Angel Romero also went out on loan. A couple of other players, including Leo Costes, sold, just didn't really develop. A bit of a surprise for you as well, Maximiano left. I felt the time was right. Didn't want Liechtenstein nationality. He goes with my blessing to Serbia, although I don't think he's doing particularly well, if not mistaken. He's done okay, 2 goals, apparently had a really good rating for Serbia. But yeah, the last season he was just dwindling in a bit, and I decided to make a move. And we sold him for a profit, which was the main thing again. That was the only way he was going to leave the club. And then the final and probably most disappointing, but we made a humongous profit out of him. Idrissa Silla, we just couldn't turn this offer down for Porto. It's £27 million. He's been one of our standout players, as you can see. Signed him for 140k from Talavera. And you can see what I mean about looking at these clubs that are in the 4th, 5th divisions of Spain. It takes them a while, but they develop really nicely. And I mean, we've got a good deal out of it in terms of clauses. If I go to ins and then I go and find him, I suspect he might be at the bottom. If I've missed him, I apologise. No, we've got a number of installments out of him, and we've got a 50% profit. This is the thing that we've done with a lot of these players, is they either have sell-on clauses or they have specific clauses which will allow me to get profit out of them one way or another. I just want to quickly show you in regards to the finances. We are in the green, at least when it comes to FFP, but the budget is 89 million. Don't expect that to be spent. I would rather the board puts that into the overall balance to try and improve things, because FFPs are looking a little bit decent now. And I think we can spend about £30 million, I would say, on a player if I want to. And if there is a player out there, we will obviously use our increasingly large transfer budget. But I'm just trying to play it safe with us not qualifying for the Champions League this season. I think next year, with us getting into the Champions League, it might change that I spend a little bit of money. But that is an update for the transfers and the finances for the 2038-39 season. We started off our European campaign with an away trip to Tirana. or Trnava, who I believe are in Slovakia, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they are. We beat them 2-1 thanks to goals from Nataman and Dioria. We dominated this game. They went ahead in the first half thanks to a goal from Peter Occhieri. Probably against the run of play. As you can see from the 4-3-3 formation, we did really well. 19 shots, 11 on target. And we at least took an advantage back of Vaduz. In the following leg, though, we secured a 2-0 victory to ensure that we got through to the fourth qualifying round. Goals from Maximiano and Doria, and as you can see, we thoroughly dominated this game. Then it was a trip to HJK in Finland. It was 0-0 at half time, but we turned it on after the second half with goals from Doria, Maximiano, and Silla. And as you can see from the stats, even though Jukka Kinnunen, probably butchered that name, scored a consolation goal in the 61st minute, we dominated this match yet again, and it looked like it was going to be plain sailing getting into the Conference League proper. A little bit of a tricky home tie, 2-2 in the end, but we had enough on aggregate to see it through. Goals from Maloney and Maximiano in the first half. We could have had a 3-0 lead going into the second half, but HJK decided to equalise with 2 goals from Tamui and Moyazanda in the 73rd minute. But that was enough to get through to the Conference League proper. The Conference League fixtures have been announced for the 2038-39 season, and we have got a bit of an Eastern European trip. We start off in Croatia against Dynamo Bucharest. Then it's a home tie against Haken, who we played last season, if not mistaken. Then 3 games against Polish sides Ruk, Rakow, Lech, and it's a final game at home against Astana. So we've avoided any tough trips away from home. That being said, Dynamo Bucharest are going to be a tricky customer, but we have avoided some of the big teams at least. It has been an interesting start to the qualifying rounds already before the league phase. So Everton got Sevilla, who Everton beat, and Gladbach got Marseille, which were the 2, I would say, trickiest teams in the league phase for the Conference League going forward. Gladbach got through, so we are the highest coefficient team, and then it's followed by the likes of Feyenoord, Olympiacos, Nordsjælland, Grimares, who are in, and then a couple of other teams. None of the Swiss sides made it through to any form of European competition, as far as I'm aware. Winterthur got knocked out, Basel, Young Boys, and Luzern. So we are flying the flag for both Liechtenstein and Switzerland. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting Conference League phase. But I will expect us to at least make the quarterfinals like we did last season. Having said that, though, there is a lot of tricky customers in the Conference League phase. This was a bit of a wake-up call in the first tie against Dynamo away from home. Goal from Vala in the 31st minute. It was a bit of a deflection there, but it got through. And then in the 33rd minute, he continued with another goal. It just cut our defence open, unfortunately. We didn't do particularly well in the first half. And then in the 41st minute, Torre again plays it across. It was the same goal again to make it 3-0 in the first half. Then in the second half, they made it even worse for us. Sunday with a goal in the 45th minute. I thought this might be offside. We made some changes, got a consolation thanks to Peterson, our young American midfielder. A bit of a deflection there. And then in the 77th minute, I thought a comeback may be on. Silla plays the ball to Calavero. Peterson again, and it plays it into Kaiser. The game finished 4-2 though, and it was a bit of a wake-up call for us in the Conference League. Another tricky game again in the Conference League. Haken, who we've played before, got a very early goal thanks to Lopez in the 10th minute. We couldn't get an equaliser till the 89th minute, but Kaiser did his best and he got 2 goals for us to save 3 points instead of a draw. This was a bit of against the run of play, but as you can see from the stats, we probably deserved at least a draw from the match. Then it was a comfortable victory in Poland. At half-time it was 2-1 though. Razaza, or Jacek, I'm just going to call him, got a goal in the 4th minute, but Maloney and Nyestad getting goals in the 27th and 31st minute. And then Javier Howe making it 3-1 in the 91st minute. Quite an even game this. We had 21 shots, 10 on target. They had 17 and 5 on target. A good team ruck, but we got at least 6 points on the board. Then a bit of a frustrating one, a 0-0 home draw against Rakow. We probably deserved to win this, but we took the point at least, and the Rakow defence had a really good showing against us, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. Then another trip to Poland. This time it was 2-2. Goals from Teshum and Kostov for Lech. Doria and Kaiser making it 2-2 for us, respectively. And I think based off the shots and on target and the other stats, this was a well-earned draw. Luckily, we played Astana in the final game. They were pretty much relegated. However, they did cause a little bit of a shock in the 18th minute. Luckily, though, we decided to turn on the style, and Nyestad getting a lovely goal there in the 27th minute. And then just on the half-time mark, Silla plays a ball into Kaiser, and it makes it 2-1. Blanco then plays a ball into Kaiser. It gets deflected in a way, and Maloney plays a lovely cross into Silla to make it 3-1. Then from a corner, Daniel getting a goal in the 76th minute, a nice header, and then to finish it off in the 90th minute, a nice little bit of play here from us. David Luiz breaks open the defence, and Kaiser gets a brace. So in terms of the Conference League phase, we finished 15th in that. We sort of just missed out on the 8 automatic places, but I'm not too disappointed, especially since the opposition that we may have going into the next round might be a little bit easier than, say, the likes of Mönchengladbach, Everton, or Rapid. We won't find out who we're playing in the knockout playoff round, but once we do, I shall let you know. This is how the schedule's been looking in terms of the Super League. So we started the defence of our first place finish. I say defence, I was going to almost say title, but we didn't get a title. Against Yerevan, we got a goal from Lazarus in the 81st minute. Then it was a 4-1 victory at home to Schaffhausen. Goals from Alabe, Doria and Afalobi. And a consolation goal for Hoffman. And then a 3-0 away victory at Zurich. Goals from Sella, Beal and Maximiano. In August, we got a 2-2 draw against Aru. This was a bit of a tough one to take. Goals from Doria in the 20th and 66th minute. Adlison Fernandez and Geisen getting the goals for Aru. Thun got a victory against us thanks to an own goal from Lazarus, which was a bit disappointing. Then it was a 1-0 victory against Servette thanks to a goal from Nyestad. We then had a 4-0 victory at home against St. Gallen, our local rivals. Lazarus with the first goal, Doria with a penalty in the 49th minute. And then in the 55th minute, Alabe plays a ball to Nyestad, who then plays it to Beal and makes it 3-0. Lovely goal into the bottom right-hand corner there. Simon Beal playing a nice ball to Nyestad here. David Luiz, who's been a great player for us, and he unlocks Silla again and make it 4-0 to Vaduz. Then in September, we only had 3 fixtures, so it was a 1-1 draw against Luzern, a 1-0 victory against Winterthur thanks to Kaiser. We then beat Basel at home thanks to goals from Kaiser in the 1st and 93rd minute. Maloney getting a goal in the 27th minute. And Cassett getting a goal for Basel as a consolation in the 67th minute. That was then followed up with a 1-1 draw at home to Zurich. Pretty disappointing in my opinion, especially when you look at the stats. And the goal we conceded, which was Texeria in the 90th minute. It was really frustrating and we should have got 3 points here. Then another frustrating away trip to Young Boys. We either do really well here or we suffer, and we suffered again from Junior Leguia. I really want him to retire soon, but he is a class player for Young Boys and has been a great player in the Swiss Super League. We did get a consolation though, thanks to Simon Beale. He's been a really good player for us this season. Then a crazy game against Yerevan away from home. I was worried it was going to be 2 defeats in a row. A goal from Kern in the 21st minute. We did get an equaliser in the first half. Nataman playing at the Beale and Silla again and make it 1-1. But unfortunately, Yerevan had other ideas. Yamini playing a ball into Simic, I believe there. Great header, to be fair. But we did recover in the second half. Francisco Javier playing a lovely ball in, and Alabe just gets in on the rebound. We put him further up the pitch, Alabe, in this game, and it worked really well. David Luiz playing really well for us, and another goal to add to the Brazilians' collection. And then, again, David Luiz playing in a ball for Simon Beale to secure another goal for us. Lang had other ideas to make it 3 goals to Yerevan. And then in the 89th minute, to secure the victory, Blanco plays a ball into Alabe, who then plays it in Doria, and that secured a 3 points back to Vaduz, and a 5-3 victory for us. In the Liechtenstein Cup, it was pretty straightforward. It was a 2-0 victory away from home to Regal, and it was 2 goals from our Romanian midfielder, Turcano. We then got revenge on Thun with a 2-1 victory thanks to Kaiser, Javier Howe. Musik got a consolation goal for them. Then it was a 1-0 victory away from home to Schaffhausen. Simon Beale again doing a really good job for us. Then a 3-1 victory at home to Servette. Simon Beale again, Afolabi, our young Nigerian central midfielder. Traore getting a consolation goal in the 90th minute. And then another goal fest against St. Gallen. This time Beale got the first goal in the 35th minute. Then in the second half, we absolutely blitzed them. Beale unlocking Kaiser there to make it 2-0. Nystad playing a ball to Kovacevic, who then plays it to our German fielder Nataman, Danny, and then Turcano. Then another ball in from Schultz to get Kaiser another goal. And then in the 92nd minute to make it 5-0, Danny scored a goal from outside the box, our young Spanish midfielder. We couldn't keep a clean sheet though. Colin plays a ball into Calvo and Verdel makes it 5-1, a consolation for St. Gallen, but we thoroughly deserved this. And then to round off the rest of the fixtures in the Super League, it was a 3-1 victory at Aru. Goals from Kaiser, Simon Beale, Doria, Gisson getting a consolation in the 71st minute. And it was a 2-0 victory at home against Luzerne. Goals from Daniel and Doria in the 71st and 76th minute, respectively. And then a trip to the champions. It was a 2-1 victory away from home, thanks to goals from Turcano and Alabe. Evangelista, I believe. I hope I got that right first time. Scored a penalty in the 50th. Evangelista got a pen in the 35th minute to make it 2-1, but we saw it out against Winterthur. And just before the remaining games today, we had a home tie against Lille. We got a 4-0 victory there. Not going to go into much detail about that though. Here's how the Super League looks after 20 games. We are 48 points ahead on the board. 15 wins, 3 draws, and only 2 defeats. Our closest rivals seem to be Luzerne and Zurich. Winterthur having a bad season as champions. But they are still within the Champions League, or at least the Europe hunt as well. Surprisingly, Young Boys and Basel having a really bad season. Schaffhausen not having the greatest of seasons down there, only on 9 points. But I'm really surprised by Basel. 5 wins, 6 draws, and 9 defeats. Young Boys aren't doing much better, and only 5 points off the relegation zone in 7th. It's actually nice to see Young Boys and Basel down there, and the likes of St. Gallen, Aru, Winterthur, Zurich, and Luzerne in and around the top 6 places. This is the intake for the 2038-39 season, and it's our first intake from George Leon, our new head of youth. development. I wasn't expecting a brilliant one. I'm not gonna lie there, but to have it as a lot of D's and an average intake for his first intake is quite disappointing. But we'll see who we get. Maybe with him being Spanish as well, we might get some different players in. But we'll see how things are going. One thing I would mention, which I find quite funny, is if we go to Basel and we go to staff, guess who has got himself a job at Basel? Ian Taylor has decided to join one of our rivals, which is really interesting. So Basel must have went, he's done a decent job at Vaduz, let's get him. But yeah, not the greatest, but it's his first intake. We'll allow it. We did get another affiliate in November. It's an old club that I used to manage on a previous FM. A few people in the comments may know. So it's Pro Vercelli, who used to be one of the biggest teams ever in Serie A. Back in the early 1900s, they were one of the biggest teams in Serie A. And since then, they've fallen on a little bit of a hard time here to say. But I've picked them because they've got always decent players, and we've never really explored Italy as an option in terms of footballers to come into the club in terms of the youth intake, and I think it's a potentially good market to have a look at. And also the fact we had Spanish affiliates in the past, and they have sort of, I don't want to say died away, but they fell away. So I wanted to try a different nation. It's only 46 grand pretty much in terms of how much we're paying them. I will change the option when I get it to how we have got it in Viborg, where you can get the academy players to train with some of the Vaduz team, hopefully to bring more youth players into the team, because that is one of the goals of the save. I just wanted to do a little bit of a squad update since you haven't seen the team since last season. So, as I mentioned, we've had the departures come at not necessarily a bad time for Silla, but yeah, it's made me think a little bit more about our transfer strategy. The only real players I wanted to give you an update on, and whether you'll see them in the next episode, is pretty much dependent on whether they get Liechtenstein nationality. So the first one is Javier Howe. He is really close to getting Liechtenstein nationality. He's only 13 days away. If he does not accept that, I'm going to find it very difficult to keep a hold of him, just with who he's wanted by as well. We brought him in for 20k from Atletico Baleares. He's somebody that hasn't fully developed yet. He's still young and he's not had any Spanish caps yet, so I'd assume that he would get Liechtenstein nationality, but you never know in this day and age with regards to young players at Vaduz. The other one is Turacano. Now this is a bit of a difficult one. If he doesn't accept the Liechtenstein nationality, which I suspect he might not, it's only 23 days away. Still a bit more eligibility to go. I think that is the same with Javier Howe, but I'm not 100% certain. Apologies I didn't show you that. But I may keep a hold of him for the time being, because Turacano has been really good, even though he's been really unhappy with me. The only thing that really bugs me is he doesn't enjoy big matches, but he's been scoring a lot of long shot goals this season. And yeah, it's another one where I'm sort of in two minds whether to keep a hold of him or whether to transfer him out, with him being 12, 13 million pounds in value. The only three other players that I want to mention in terms of Liechtenstein nationality, the first one is Samba. So he's been with the club for a while and he stepped up finally this season, a little bit like Verde last year. He's got the Liechtenstein nationality. The different thing with Verde is that he is 209 days away from it. Obviously got the 627 continuously because he's been here since he was a young player. but I feel like giving him the game time now. He's only, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he's only a breakthrough prospect, but he's been getting game time. The other one is Danny. So we're going to keep a hold of Danny for the time being. He is performing really well this season, I would say. Developed last season as well. He was another one who we brought in who was relatively cheap, and I think it's paid off. It's just whether or not he wants to get that Liechtenstein nationality. Another player I wanted to mention in terms of Liechtenstein nationality is Lazarus. Now, he is Nigerian, as you can probably see, but he does have the potential to gain the nationality, which, if I'm not mistaken, a fellow other African, Zakawini, also got the Liechtenstein nationality, so he didn't have the foreign non-EU player next to him. So it's really good that we've got the potential for him to get the second nationality. He might not take it at the end of the day, and that's not really important with regards to Lazarus, because he is one of our centre-backs going forward for the foreseeable future. Fingers crossed if we can keep a hold of him. There is one more thing I would like to go over, and it's something I would directly like to ask you, the viewer, with regards to the save. So, a long time ago when I started this save, I thought, by the time now, I'll get offered the Liechtenstein national team job. That has not happened. Basically, what's happened since then has been majority, when I go into the managers. So it was Conrad Funds for Stuck. I've probably butchered his name there. But Nugent has since been in charge. Michael Seats. He's been alright, but he's not been anywhere near what my profile is like in terms of my managerial stats. I'm not sure if he's ever going to get sacked or he's ever going to leave. And it's not like Liechtenstein have majorly improved since he's took over. They're 161st in the league, and I think something that we could do is potentially improve it. My major question to you as the viewer is, how would you like if I were to put in say a holiday manager and then take over the Liechtenstein national team? Because it is something I obviously want to do. I wanted to do it the proper way, which was obviously apply for the job when it came available. But I have a sneaky suspicion that for however long that we do this save, we're never going to get that opportunity to manage the national team. Now, I don't like international management in FM. It's not particularly great, but because of the basis of this challenge is to try and improve Vaduz and as well Liechtenstein as a whole, I think something that would be really good is to take over the Liechtenstein national team. But I know doing that in terms of putting in a manager and then me taking over would probably be, in my opinion, it may be considered as, you could say it's cheating or it's bad practice or something like that. But I just wanted a general opinion from people that regularly watch the YouTube videos. What would you do in this situation? Because it's something I am very much interested in. The qualifiers for the Euros in 2040, I believe, start in March. So what I'm going to try and do is get this video out before then. And if maybe we put it to, I don't know, some form of vote, or just your general comments so I can see what is going on. We might not even do really well in the qualifiers. I think it's a decent group, to be fair. Overall, with the likes of Gibraltar is one where you would expect Liechtenstein to at least try and get 6 to 4 points out of that, and then Scotland, Slovenia, Sweden, and Switzerland. It's a chance either way to maybe make a bit of an impact on it, but we will see. I just wanted to get your general opinion on it and see what you think about it, and just let me know in the comments, because it's something I want to do, but I want to do it in the right way. Hope you've enjoyed the video update there. It's something that I'm going to be doing probably even if we get into the Champions League next year. I think it's better splitting the video into 2 parts rather than doing the whole season as a whole as we did in the, I want to say, the first 40 to 50 episodes of the series. Obviously, if we were to get into the Champions League, it'd be a bit different and maybe show you some different teams, or potentially pick a game where it's a good chance of us winning because we've never won in the Champions League. We've got points in the Champions League, but we never have. But that's not to say we're going to get into the Champions League this year because it's a very tough conference league again. It's getting all competitive. I'm happy with how things are going in the league, and as well, of course, the Liechtenstein Cup. That's important so that we get into Europe. A little bit annoyed with some of the transfers, but it is what it is with regards to Vaduz and big teams picking our players off. But the one thing I will say is we're in a much better financial situation than we were 6 months ago. And I mean, we have a war chest in the bank. It's just about using it correctly so that it doesn't go over the FFP guidelines for the Europa Conference League. So we just need to be careful with regards to that. If you have enjoyed the video or the series so far, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you are new. And I will see you for the end of the season update in a little while. Take it easy. Stay safe. Bye, everybody.